Okay, everybody. It is with my giggly hops joy and googly moogly pride. Like, I cannot believe this is actually happening right now. Uh, Absolutely wonderful to present Goblin Story Time, presented under the mushroom cap in partnership with the Bench Network. Like, legit, one of the coolest things I can ever even imagine happening. So I want to first give a huge shout out to Tanith and Brazen and for all of you wonderful folks who have tuned in to the bench every single episode for making this possible. I think foam fighters all the way around are gonna benefit from this. That's the hope. So Goblin Story Time, for those of you who may not know, is a Facebook Live thing that I started doing because I don't like talking on camera. And we like to challenge ourselves in the Chroniclers Guild. So we did that. Goblin Story Time is narrated by me. My whole name is Doc Warmaster Cordovan Goblins WM WD MC, and for some of you folk, we add the LLC. But please, 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 just call me Cord. It's so much easier. And I'm gonna talk a little bit about the agenda, but first, just look at this glorious picture, right? The mushroom hat is becoming this new iconic thing, and I'm very grateful for it. It's good. It's the only way that this night goblin can survive in Florida. Goodness gracious. While you guys stare at that cool thing, and we can talk about the symbols too, I'm going to see if I can't fix my chat for just a moment. So everybody, hold on to your horses. No, I have the chat, Doc. Yup. It's just the chat on the right-hand side. Okie dokie. So, we're going to talk... Well, first of all, hello, everybody. It's me, Cord. As you see, my name is over there, so you know sometimes it'll be in different places. If you have noticed the chroniclers, that guy over there, he is drawn by my buddy, Austin. And it was a long time ago when I was in a far, far away land when I created a magazine for goblins. And that is where that comes from. So today we have the agenda. Okay, so what are we going to do today? I'm going to try to keep it organized. For those of you who've been to Goblin Story Time, you know, sometime, well, it just freaking ain't. But that's the best part about it. At least I think so. Okay, so before important news, there will be some babies coming to say hi. This is Filet. She is my familiar. She says hello. She will come say hi. So will Mignon. Just accept it. Anytime they come, everybody should scream cat in the chat. It'll make it more fun. There we go. Good job, Brazen. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about Goblin Story Time. We're going to do an intro, which is what we're doing right now. I'm doing so great, guys. And then we're going to talk about who is Cord. And this is probably a segment that's going to evolve into more and more LARP and story as the episode shows go along. But yeah, Brazen. Yeah, you get to see some cute things. We might even pull out the Bodinator here soon. That would be the real win. But I don't know, maybe I'll have you guys spin a wheel or something later. Anywho, things will evolve. This is the beginning of the show. So I thank you all very much for being here. We'll talk a little bit about who I am. Who is me? Why is me? Why am I somebody worth listening to? I don't know, but you're here, so somebody thinks so. And we'll talk a little bit about my history. I'll try to make it interesting. And as the episodes develop, I will find more interesting and funny stories to add to that segment to make it more and more ridiculous. We're going to go into something that I'm going to call story time. And story time, we're going to talk a little bit about lore in Belegarth as a whole, at least my philosophies and thought processes behind it. Full caveat, guys, this is all going to be just opinion-based, right? Belegarth's Book of War has absolutely no rules about roleplay, lore, or any of those things. So it is just an opinion. You can disagree. It's okay. Then I'm going to talk a little bit in story time about basic monster history, and I'm going to perform for you guys the 33 stanza poem, which is my Master Chroniclers project, because that's happening at EQ in like 3 days, so I'd like to practice it for you all. Oh, Brazen, my goodness. Ha. So yeah, we'll go do a little that. Then we'll do a little bit of Q&A, and I'm hoping the Q&A is actually not a little bit, but a lot of it, because the more engaged you guys are, the more fun this show is going to be. Hopefully, the upside down goblin doesn't bug you too much. Also, yes, I have my Grick disguise on under my nice helmet. I wear this so I can get smashed in the face and it doesn't hurt so bad. Don't do it; it does hurt. Um, but yes, there will be episodes where I am the appropriate color. But at the moment, I had the work meeting, could not be the appropriate color. So, before we jump into the next section, what do you guys think of this little goblin head that I'm in? Is this a win? Do you guys want a bigger me, a littler me? I don't know. Whatever you think, you let me know. I like these things. This is cool. Okay, so yeah, well, okay. So I just want to stop and address the paladin in the crowd. The moon is better than the sun. And if you think otherwise, you're wrong. Okay, cool. Moving on. Not moving on. I also like fire. So you can't go telling me, but the sun is made of fire. No, the moon has fire too. Moon fire. It's been around a long time. Long time. Okay, so, who am I? Cord who? Cord's been around a long time, but the picture you see before you is what I like to call baby Cord. I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't Cord then. I'm not gonna tell you what I was, but I wasn't Cord yet. This picture was taken long time ago in a place called Rain Dun IR, or the Jagged West Coast. It was the first Belegarth realm in Northern California, and this was taken when I was still in the high school where the people go with the lockers and the people talking to you and you not paying attention. Anywho, yes, this was a long time ago in a realm run by an orc named Savage. And if you do not know Savage, I'm sorry. Savage is a wonderful, wonderful individual. I do not believe they play Bell anymore, but they were the gentleman orc, and they are the reason, one of them, that I am a monster today. So, then, so long time ago we had wooden shields, and this picture, so you'll never see me using shields much no more, but I want you to know that far back in that corner, in that red and black tabard, that is Sir Juggernaut. I don't really know if he's still of Norcalia, but of Norcalia! He's a freaking fantastic individual. I'm so grateful and blessed that he is going to be at EQ and will be doing my elevation ceremony. Brazen! Woo! Guys, everything we're doing here is to support the Bench Network and Tanith, so thank you guys so much. Brazen gets huge ups in the chat. But seriously, Juggernaut, I could talk forever about Juggernaut. Juggernaut is the definition, or was the definition, of an individual who should use a tower shield, who used a tower shield, and succeeded in using a tower shield. I am not that individual. Tower shields are my size. Anywho, so I want you guys to understand that, I come from the way back when. For some people, it's not the way back when. I want you guys to know Monstrum started when I was born. But it's pretty way back. Now, then we level up a bit. So I am fighting this gentleman by the name of Yannick, who I like very much. He's a great dude. And I was in the place where you go and get talked to at people, but secretly don't pay attention, but pay way too much money for a little piece of paper. So this is College Deers. You can see that I need a little clicker. I'll figure out how to do that eventually. But you can see I have an apprentice flag on there. And Bourbon made one recently. I was apprenticed under a bugbear. I know, what the heck, a bugbear? If you guys don't know what a bugbear is, well, we'll talk about it. Gord, thank you, Gord. Woohoo! Okay, so so this is, you can see on the right, a color, and I became a goblin a long time ago. So I guess now is the time where we talk about why goblin. So Cord is a goblin because when Cord began, pre-Cord, so this time, I backstabbed people a lot because I sucked at fighting. That's just the truth of it. And so they called me a goblin, or a gobbo specifically. Oh, you gobbo. Well, I loved it. I loved it so much that I made it my entire identity. Wait, no, we don't talk about that. And then around this time, I went to my first couple of regional events. And I met a unit called the Laughing Skull. So, oh goodness gracious, Tanis already made the joke. Darn it. Yeah, well, there'll be many, many more. So, I met a unit called the Laughing Skull, which if you were in California or the West Coast at all, you would understand that these were dagger here orcs. They were ridiculous. We can talk about their stories at the bench after dark. Yeah, those are the bench after dark kind stories. Not so much goblin story time stories. But I will tell you this, that they were really good at being monsters. Not Belegarth monsters, just monsters in general. One of their favorite things to do was put a glove, not a glove, a sticky thing, a sticky stickiness. Sticky stickiness, that's how English works. Sticky stickiness into, oh my god, Kazi! Okay, so a sticky stickiness on the handle, and nobody else wanted to use their gear. I thought it was genius. And they were like, you should be a monster. And at the time, I was a monster hunter. No. I thought I was. This is just the before time. So, anywho, we go to, oh, boop, there. So, College Me. College Me was beginning to get into Goblindom. So, I was this gobbo, but I didn't know what goblins was. And then I found the Geddon, the Belegarth Geddon, this treasure trove of living history that I can talk your freaking ear off for like literally forever. Oh, hi, Kaz. It's okay if Kazi's not here. I still love Kazi. But hi, Kaz. Your baby's adorable. I won't eat him, I promise. So, yeah, like it's ridiculous. I discovered the Geddon, and I discovered Belegarth goblins, and I went, what? This is so much cooler than anything I've ever seen ever. And that's around when I met Kazi and Salamander through the interwebs and talking about the spider silks. And at this time, I was a Met Goblin, and one day I will read you the Force Fen stories. I did Met Goblin really, 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 really hard before the Night Goblin thing, believe it or not. But I like glowy more than shiny, so it made sense. So, at this point, I discovered goblins, and I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna do, this is my everything. And really, like, in the college times, this was kind of my everything. I really made it a big deal for me. I studied, I learned, I spent a lot of effort, and through a lot of time, no, not a meth goblin, although sometimes I wonder, but no, just mech, like mechanized. Like the mechanicers. Yeah. So, anywho, at this point, I was like, this is the coolest thing in the world. And Salamander was like, you should be my apprentice. Now, this was a little before that because I looked at the timestamp and this said 2015, mind you. And I didn't think that was the case, but maybe it was. At this time, I was still in college, and I was coming towards the end of college, and then I graduated, and I worked at what they call a Hadu shop. So we sold bubbly things, and had a lot of opportunity to sit and be with myself in the bubbly thing, and I really began connecting at a serious level with the, well, this is going to go esoteric, but the mental bloob that is 20, at the time, 26 or 27 years of living history. I ended up creating a symbol for Bulk, which every goblin hates me for. I'm sorry, but, fuck him. But the betrayer needed to be signified. So I did that. And then with Salamander's help, we came up with a symbol for the head of Nebuchadnezzar. So if you see the Neb head, yep, that is me. This is not 2019. This is 2015. And then the ref head. So I did some goblin stuff. I got really, really into it. And then, lots of things happened. And one of the things that happened around this time, it was a little bit before actually, is I went to Chaos Wars and I experienced the Wizard Council for the first time. And this was a group of people, Metatron and some others, that were very drunk, let's be real. But yeah, Brazen gets it. We gotta disrespect that shit. That's why it's red and on the bottom of my feet. Fuck you, Bulk. So apologies. So, you see, the Wizard Council, little Cord at the time. I was Cord at this time. I was like, wow, I'm in Idaho, the land of chaos. There's a big storm coming. I don't like storms. The wind is not my friend. And then I see this group of people. This is long before I imbued in any of the poisons. And so I was just sitting out there like in awe of whatever the heck was going on. And I see this wizard council get up and just very loudly, in the middle of what was supposed to be a large storm, start screaming and cussing and yelling at the storm to go away. And I shit you not, the storm went away. Like, I genuinely cannot make this shit up. It just went away. And I was so in awe that I went to them and I said, I want to join the wizard council. And they said, ha, you're too young. I was 18. I did not imbue in the poisons. And then they said no. Then I said, okay. What if I write you a story? I am chronicler. I chronicle the wizard council. And they said, sure, this kid's not going to do it. Well, I did. I wrote a story about that fateful day. And next episode, I will find it if I still have it. And I performed it at a Bardic, and I took second place. I did not win. I've never won a Bardic, maybe one day. But I took second place. And they were very surprised. And so they came to me and said, You little one, you are now to be known as Kevin, with a C, the Chronicler. By far the worst wizard name of the entire bunch. They had really, really cool names. I don't remember them now. But I didn't. So Kevin the Chronicler, that's like 2012, 2013. So we fast forward to 2016, 2017. I leave the expensive frame land and become a war master, which we could talk about. But I wasn't going to talk about that much today. We can, though. That could be in the Q&A. And then I became a witch doctor. I performed my witch doctorate trial. I earned my witch doctorate from the Great Witch Doctor Salamander. And Kazi was present. And that was this, you see. This was Chaos Wars, so not the same event. But with me is the commander of Beer's Draco doll. And Kazi, the drunk... It's not the Kazi. The life-size Kazi doll. To be honest, that is the best doll ever. Tonberry is magical. So, Kevin the Chronicler becomes a witch doctor. Kind of fitting. And I begin getting interested in, the guilds. The guilds had been a thing a little bit at this time. But there was no Chroniclers Guild. And so, Archive, myself, Par and Antoinette, we began talking about creating a Chronicler's Guild. I think actually it was a little bit created before I showed up, but there was no symbol. An Archive and I began speaking of the symbol. And then the Chronicler's Guild became a thing. And I said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to be a master. And then nothing happened because life happened. And then life happened some more. And then I'm going to be completely honest with you all. Life happened some more. It got very, very interesting to the point where in 2022, after some rather challenging and wild experiences, I ended up uprooting, taking the caravan, and going to the other side of the world. I went to the land of the swamp instead of the land of fire. It was kind of like a big thing. Oh, yes. Yes, Hera was there. The Paladin was there. Look, I'm not giving lists. There were pretty much all of the mentors were there, right? Crinoline was there too. Kazi was there, of course. Anywho, yes, I went to the Forbidden Land. But it brought me back to the game in force. Yes, that is Mignon. Mignon is Filet's sister. Filet and Mignon. She's going to probably sit over there. Filet is over there, and then Bodhi is on the ground. So, pretty much what happens is I got interested in the guilds. And at this time, let's be real, roleplay is like my thing. I have an acting background, I have a stage manager background more so. And I like being a goof, and I like being creative, and I like making all this stuff, and so I did. And then I moved to Florida, like I said, and I got back into the game, and I went to Geddon, and I understood and realized, holy cramoli, this is so much bigger than I thought it was. We came for the violence, but we stay for the community. And one of the things that makes the community real is the LARP, is the roleplay, is the goblins. It allows you to express yourself in really, really cool ways. For instance, I moved to Florida with a wonderful black felt hat that I've worn my entire career. I don't know. Next episode, I'll put it in the pictures, and I won't talk about myself nearly as much. And it was ridiculous. I died. First time I went to a fighting event in Florida, full on dead, heat stroke. So I went to the side of the road, and there was a pink hat, and I said, "How much for the pink hat?" And the lady looked at me, looked up and down, and went, "Ah, you can have it." Well, it became a mushroom, and it just kept me sane ever since. And then I'd get in, as I'm diving back into it, like, again, roleplay and goblin stuff. That never left. Even when I stepped away from fighting for a little bit, it's always in my heart. And you know what? Pause. I'm going to tell you why right now. So, goblins live by stick and stone. We shelter in the night. Our fire is a human's home, whose soul burns long and bright. Sickled fingers, shackled stairs, making irons tight, slaving you to the crescent moon that eats your eyes for sight. Goblins live by stick and stone. We shelter in the night. We can kill by will alone, but we prefer to fight. Guys, it's just, the roleplay, it can take you so much further than you think. And I got to live that experience when I War Mastered Achilles. One of the best compliments I've ever received was from Warlord Sir Bell. What did that? Bellman, that's better. Bellman told me, he said, "Wow, did you know that sounded like a WWE speech?" And I went, "Oh, what?" He's right. Holy crap. Like, there's so much more to this fighting thing than just fighting. And the craziest thing is, if we go all the way back, let's see if I can do this. If we go to this me would have said, "I'm not a LARPer. I don't LARP. I don't roleplay. This isn't LARPing. This is stick sport. This is fighting." No, I would get so mad. And I was so misguided, to be like that. This experience for me was big. And the reason I'm talking about all of this stuff. Oh, wait, hold on. I want to see what 1 second. Yeah, what Tannis said is really cool in the chat. I agree. Our roleplay is different. And I think, well, one of the reasons our roleplay is different, and we're going to talk about this in a second, but for me, my experience is, let's be real, guys, I'm a stick jock. I like beating people up, and I take fighting seriously, and I want to be good, and I want to do it well, right? But I also want to do this. And I want to marry the two things. And in a lot of games, that's really not welcome. Yes, huge congratulations to War Master Achilles, the Cheese Hunter. I really can't believe it took him 7 years to do it, but I'm actually really happy it took him 7 years to do it. I think I learned just about as much, if not more, through that process than he did. And I'm very excited for what the future has in hold for him. So, guys, before I move on, what do you think of this section? Is it useful? Do you have any questions? There's so much more I can say, but I want to tell you stories now. So, we're just going to jump into stories. Okay, everybody, it's story time. Today, we're going to do a couple stories. We're going to do a simple one. The first one is I'm going to talk a little bit about lore in Belegarth, why it matters, why it's important, what's cool about it, how you can do it, and how it doesn't matter if you're a monster, if you're a giant flame paladin, if you're Joe Schmo first day in the game, you can find ways to do both the roleplay and the stick jock. That's totally up to you, right? But it's all available. So, I want you guys to understand that roleplay in Bell is old. It's very, very old. In fact, it's probably older than the concept of stick jock. Way back in the day, in the early 80s and probably the 70s, there was a lot of role playing. Now, they weren't typically monsters, they were typically elves and humans and knights. But there was a lot of role playing, right? And then we're going to talk about it in my poem. But then something magical happened at Equinox in 1993. In 1993, a group of orcs were messing around, and you know what? Fuck it. We're just going to do this. You guys ready for some story? This is the best way I can do it. So, right now, I'm going to perform for you the 33 stanza poem of monster history. This is tracking our walk as a subculture from one side of the country to the other. I hope you enjoy. Gather round the fire. The sands have a story to sing. A tale not to be forgotten, for it has truth to bring. For many, many moons in Belegarth's lore we thrived, impossible to miss, through battles and history. Oh, impossible to miss, in its tales we survived. Oops. And still do I wager through battle and history, shading the game from mediocrity's misery. It's not knights, or tournaments, or even the guilds, not the fighters, their garb, nor the sweat that we spill. It's a spark, a reminder, a counter's culture's will. I speak of monsterdom, a concept so old, many can't imagine the game without it, or so I am told. From small seeds every tree has grown. Monsterdom's story, uniquely our own. By passionate souls, like yours and mine, stories that endure through the sands of time. It started as a small seed, growing into a strong tree, changing the course of our history. The seed took root first in Durdee, the year 93. That's when I was born. So this shit's 30 years old, guys. Some young friends watched knights ruling the area. A kobold named Triplak deemed it hysteria, the first kobold ever. The knights raged on, as they do, until an orc declared, "Duel me in honor, you knave, if you dare." They squared to fight. No knight can ignore, but the battle was brief. The orc had more. With a friend who snuck up and fired at the knight like a gobbo. "What is honor?" it asked, ending the fight. The friends were elated by the joy they had witnessed. Jesters and tricksters laughter their business. The orcs' names, it is said, were Grim, Song Toi Wei, Kubak, and Wasad, their pranks on display. And so it was that the friends shed disguises worn, and from those shadows the dead river goblin Skrill was born. Israth was the first, the goblin king so bold. Then came Malathan, mushroom eater of old. Next was Scrade, Sifu's chosen, a witch doctor so wise, and Kudzu the Urkadine with Scribbit's rage in his eyes. And finally Blix, with 3 X's, fierce and clever. He murdered Romans for laughter and fun forever. The first Skrill grew with Smudge and Snotbelly there. Monsters were few, their enemies everywhere. Long before fame found these goblins' name, they were just kids playing a game. And guys, that's the point. It's just a game. The sapling then grew as seeds were spread. From the year 99 to 01, the roots were fed. Scrade moved to Mordor's high mountains with monsterdom in hand. Her influence birthed Shrat, the first western kobold in the land. A seed was planted deep in the black tundra, that's Idaho, cold, where stories of monsters and legends waited untold. Sumatai, my grandmaster, from Durdamarian to the northwest he roamed, high in the steppes of the damned, his realm he called home. To this day many monsters their skills they hone in the high village of Stygia, where legends are grown. Yes, we are dropping some really old names here. Snotbelly moved north to Wolfpack and Numenor, bringing a small tide of green that spread forevermore. It infected the area, never to depart, a lasting mark of monsterdom, rooted from the start. So if you wonder for wonder, Numenor, you got some goblins in your history. The sapling... excuse me, the sapling never stopped growing, in the land of Dirty, its roots spreading wide, nurtured by history. With Mordeth, Nanga was never alone. Mordeth was the first night goblin, all praise. And the song of Marjak sunk deep into bone. Lobo, called Damun from Damun, opened a portal spelling chaos's doom. Yes, for sure. Stygia love? Oh, yeah. Always gonna say it. Stygia love for sure. Okay. Sorry. Through though the seed had been planted, monsterdom was still small. There weren't many monsters at all. And this is true. There weren't. That changed, however, with the third growth cycle, which turned the sapling into a tall tree. As the roots reached Eriador, Nanbelagorn, and Tirasleen, you see. And we learned, if you watch the bench, that PTQ started Tirasleen. Many great monsters were born between the years of 2001 and 2003. Guys, we haven't even passed 2003 yet. Oh, goodness. Bakdar, Kazi, Gorlok, and more, Goth and Ulvat made ogres nomadic to the core. An alliance between Hellhammer and Horde was proclaimed. Fear them or praise them in Thorogonya's name. Maybe I actually pronounced that correctly this time. The armies of evil grew large and bold. Many trials were taken, their stories told. Witch doctors, headhunters, Kadines galore. We can talk about all those too. It was an explosion of monsterdom in Nanbelagorn. Oh, kitty. Over there. Yeah, okay. It was an explosion of monsterdom in Nanbelagorn. Sorry. The impact of Wolfpack cannot be forgot, for the seeds planted by Snotbelly were not rot. They helped feed the roots and extend their reach, ensuring the seeds would be able to preach. In 03 and 04, I was in 4th grade. From Nanbelagorn's gates they poured ogres, monsters, and tales galore. They raided the green highlands of chaos wars. Like rain, they fell, watering seeds planted before. Ickis and Shrat, seeds of yore, burst forth from the ground on the canopy floor. Paksha, Dop, Forkbeard, support him if you can, and Magnus were all born in the shades of this madness. Just pause. Seriously, if you guys can go lend aid or support to Forkbeard and Mary during their tough times, it would mean the world to me and many Belgrim. He's the legend of our community, so that would mean a lot to me. Thank you. Okay. Paksha, Dot, Forkbeard, and Magnus were all born in the shades of this madness. Into the lowlands the trees' shades spread wide. Tej and Toger, the swamp's new tide. In 06 and 07, Horde's Hordetane led. Marjak's song echoed, fierce words they said. Izrath and Vihil, shaping the mire. Into the lowlands, Florida, their tales did inspire. The tree withered in the beginning of 10, sure did. For stagnation and rot had come up again. Those who could have taken up the mantle followed the light, for lime is addictive to those with might. Looking at you, EDF. But trust me, with roots so deep, it takes more than a storm to knock this tree from its feet. In early 12, the tree's shade reached the Pacific's shore. It bathed the coast of ash with tales of yore. Sure did. Gorlok and Kralos, ogres strong and bold, raided battle for the ring as legends foretold. Monsters gathered, rotten and dagger among. I love those guys. And I, your narrator, under the sickle moon sung. Coast to coast, the shadows of the great canopy traveled, growing into a tree so wild it could not be handled. It crossed borders and ventured far north, where the tundra is frozen, too cold for a dwarf. And yet, there a cold hardy seed planted its roots, slowly carving its way into the frozen ground, deep below your boots. I don't know why you're there, though. It's so cold. With a canopy that size, an explosion of life is inevitable. From 14 to 17, the age of the Grick was questionable. Nadar, Siren, and Deep One came into being. The age was questionable. The gates of old, had finally cracked. Fuck you, gatekeeping. I guess that should be directed at myself. Fuck you. Okay. We learn, we grow. Right? The gates of old had finally cracked. Nadar, Siren, and Deep One came into being. Whack! This era was marked by growth and change. Many monsters were born, and nothing would ever be the same. For it seemed out west that monsters outnumbered Grick, and the tables had flipped. Did counterculture become the culture? Or was it clear that having fun matters more, and it does, than winning, I fear? The Great Plague raged from 20 to 23, spelling the end of the game for many. Yet from the shadows, old tales found light, proving the age of monsters was in sight. Thus, it comes as no surprise to me that the trolls have returned, claiming the age to be. Kodite up north, whether he wants to claim it or not, calls many to his flag, ready to march forth with a mighty brag. He's good at that. The tree of monsterdom, love you, Kodite. The tree of monsterdom now covers the game. What started as a small seed grew into fame. In the hearts of young friends, it began to expand, becoming a living history, shit, as old as I am. Stories with time grow into legends and myths. What was once told firelit now deeply persists, with rippling effects, reminding us true that stories live on because of me and you. So listen well to the song the sands sing and the stories I tell. Remember the importance of friends, fun, and laughter. Don't take yourself so fucking seriously. We all have things to master. It's just a game. And also, it's not. That's the beauty of what we've got. It's 30 years old, this monsterdom thing. I can't wait to see what its future will bring. See. Oh, yeah, ad break. That's a really good timing to look down at my phone. And I can read through the chats. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I put a lot of effort and love into writing it. I'm a big fan. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, reading chats real fast. Okay, everybody. So, that is my Master Chronicles project. What this is the culmination of about 5 years of study, probably close to 40 different interviews. I've talked to Gorgas, Gorga, the creator of Hobgoblins, Kudzu's cousin Kudzu, Crinolin, Sumatai, Forkbeard, on and on and on and on and on. Because this stuff is not... Okay, lots of monsters write stuff down now, and there's different opinions. Thank you, Brazen. That's very kind of you. There's a lot of different opinions about writing stuff down. And I kind of sit in the middle. I really want the stories to grow. I don't want them to be the same. I'm going to be honest. I don't tell the Goblin stories the same way Kazi does. I read his Neb stories that he wrote with love and care. No. He didn't write. He discovered with love and care. And I tell them slightly differently because, well, let's be real. I come from a different place. Cord is a goblin, right? Cord is just like other sentient races, like humans or other things. They have religion, and really all religion is. And I'm not gonna get too philosophical about this, but it's like it's joint collective belief. Well, I'm gonna tell you one more story. Well, I'll probably tell you a couple more stories, but because you're trapped. But no, so at Geddon this year, Ashen, sitting in the circle, was doing some Ashen things. And I was doing some Cord things. And what the Cord things meant is I was actually a little bit, poisoned, going in circles around the fire telling a story. And really getting engagement. And we told a story about Beans Magoo. And if you were at Geddon and you heard talk about beans, and anytime beans would come up, it was raucous laughter. Sorry, not sorry. Ha! So it's challenging, right, to tell stories. But when you do it, and you do it right, it's more than just telling a story. It's living. It's being there. It doesn't matter so much how the story is written. It matters how it is said, how it is spoken, and how the community and those around you react to it. This shit's magical. Like, I'm not even kidding. So let's take it this is the Bench Network. I'm a stick jock. So how did LARPing help my stick jockery? I had a couple trials. I'm going to call Ugar out on this one. Sir Ugar is a wonderful dude who would call me lots of racial racial slurs, specifically watermelon, in one of my trials. And it pissed me off. And he did it on purpose to piss me off. And in the process of doing so, it worked. It got into my psyche. I said, but I'm not a watermelon. I'm not the watermelon. I'm like a kiwi, if anything, but not a watermelon, right? And so I screamed, "Sugribbit!" Well, and for those of you who don't know, because we'll talk a little bit about it today, even maybe if you want me to go long, is damn brazen shit. Okay, is that it's that it gave me power. And Scribbit is the goblin god of rage. Many times in my life, we're talking like real life, I have called upon the goblin gods to grant me strength, and they have. That is the power of collective belief and collective thought. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you what has happened to me, okay? If you scream, "The moon wills it," and you're a hat troll, it's gonna make you more powerful. If you scream, "For the old ones," and you really believe it, and you're a lizard, you're gonna go kill a bunch of chaos, go hunt Hellhammer or something. But like that's where this goes one step further. If you're a tournament fighter and you're like, "I'm gonna win this," perfect example. Now it's maybe not LARPing, but it's very similar. Talon, EBF, one of the best tournament fighters I've ever met. He likes to go into little they go into little trances in between rounds or like before a tournament. It's very, very quick, right? But it gets them into state of mind. I'm gonna show you. So like I don't know if this will work. If I'm standing like normally, but if I do this, it's so easy to get into the voice and just be, right? And you do that through the physical state of being. That can apply to fighting as well. You see in the bottom whatever corner, we got the Bench Network here, and there's a reason for it. I genuinely believe you can use LARPing and roleplay to be a better foam fighter at a competitive level. I gotta prove it first, but I believe it is true. So this whole story, this whole stanza, was this big research project boiled down into this poem because I didn't know how to present this work. And I talked with Antoinette and Hera and many other people and Kazi, and thank you all so much. And then, but none of it had happened. The poem was just a figment of my imagination. In fact, I didn't even know it was going to be a poem. And then Juggernaut, my dear friend, goes, "I'm done with my Master Chroniclers project. I'm going to be the first Master Chronicler." And gosh darn it, I'm not the most competitive person, but I said, fuck that. No way. And then Chaos Force happened, and he didn't get elevated, and it didn't get submitted. And you betcha my happy ass went working. And so I did about 120 hours in like a month or less, probably more than that actually, to build this. And then I became the first master chronicler. Yes. And to make it even better, he is the one that's going to elevate me. So it felt big satisfaction laugh. So, the cool thing about Juggernaut, though, is he is one of the best bards I've ever met. I really hope if you don't know him, you get to meet him, you get to sing with him, you get to enjoy his boisterous attitude and his wonderfully warm hugs. I really, it's just, you're going to be wonderful. I know whatever you say is going to come from the heart, and that's all that I care about. But truthfully, like, I can't speak highly enough of Juggernaut. And he has gone on a health journey, and he is no longer just Tower Shield Pincushion. He is now Cardioso. And I am so scared of the fact that he is now maybe ABF, or going that direction. Because if he's... My history with Juggernaut is being bounced out of sumo wrestling rings over and over and over and over. Yeah, ABF! Woohoo! Congratulations, Juggernaut. I love you. I'm going to help you get good at fighting. If you're not already good, you're already good. What am I saying? I'm going to have to run away from you now. Shit. Okay. So, do you guys want one more story, or do we want to do Goblin Q&A? I will leave that to you guys while I make myself a beverage. Oh, no. You guys get to see Bodhi. Come here, Bodhi. Oh, yeah. This. Oh, no. Are you okay, little man? Oh, one more. Story. This is Bodhi, everybody. Sorry, little man. You did not have fun with that. Okay. What kind of gobby, I mean? Okay, I can answer that one. We're going to do Q&A a little later. But I'm a night goblin. If you can't see with the checkers and the moons and the me. I'm a night goblin, quite frankly, because it was dying. And then Rumble made incredible things. And I went, holy shit, I want to do that. We're going to switch to real quickly. So if you see this symbol in the upper left-hand symbol, that is my Wish Doctor symbol. But it is also the symbol of my tribe, the Whispertooth tribe. So I am a goblin Whispertooth. Okay, you know what? We're going to do story. And yes, we can do the Stone Toss story. Everybody loves the Stone Toss story. Stupid gods throwing rocks. But I'm going to tell you the story about how I became a Whispertooth Elder. And I'm not the only one. There's only two of us. So long time ago, there was a fanatic by the name of Rumble. And Rumble, he was on a big voyage. And he had the eye, the ovuli, the eye of the spider. And he said, before I leave, the Whispertooth, and he wasn't Whispertooth, so I don't really know how he had it, but we don't talk night goblin bureaucracy. And Whispertooth Elder's tribe works like this. So, we hold the eye, and it makes our brain go bloop, and if we live, then we can see into the future, and in the past, and in everywhere, and that's why I'm kind of crazy. If we die, we die. More often than not, we die. Slippery and I, my dear Usnik, my dear friend, touched the rock at the same time, not the rock, the eye, and then proceeded to do this, and if you have sensitive ears, you may want to mute. In the middle of the nighttime, yes, your head explodes. In the middle of the nighttime at Phoenix Rising for goddamn 15 minutes, my throat felt the bad. My brain felt the bad. I felt dead. And then the sands of time infected my ears and my nose and my eyeballs. And now I don't know what time or universe it is. But this is how you can bring story into Bell with ceremonies like this. And gosh darn you, trust me. Many people came. The medic was called to come check on us. We were fine. We were just LARPing. We were totally insane, right? Slips is sober. This is just how it be sometimes. Okay, so you guys really want the throwing of the stones story. I will give you the throwing of the stones story. But I want you to know that I don't entirely believe in the throwing stone story. I mean, I do, and I don't. I do, and I don't. It is what it is. Goblins are So right now we're gonna do the bugbear version. We're gonna do the OG version. Okay. Alrighty, friends. Alright, everybody, I want to see at least 7, but not all brazen. I'd love to see 7 people say story time in the chat. I'm gonna wait like this. No, I can't see the chat if I do that. Come on, let's get these story times. Where's the story times? I see no story. There's one. No, brazen, you count 2, but you only count for like 3. Oh, more story times? Brazen counts for 3, that's enough. Okay, cool. Full transparency, I don't like bugbear. For lots of reasons. But their story is pretty cool. We go. When all the races existed upon the face of the world, they had no place to call their own. They began to fight and make war for what could have been years or only many days, as time is weird for gods. Interjection. Bugbears are wrong. It was long time. I'm telling you. It was the Great War. Like, they weren't fighting each other. They were fighting the goblins. Okay, they think this isn't the case, but I apologize. We're going to go back. Bugbear hat. Okay. Many days as time is weird for gods, and though each race fought with vigor and brutality, the bugbear proved strongest and most ferocious of them all. This is really hard for me to say, but we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. Okay. When the other gods feared for their beloved creations, they feared for their beloved creations, because the goblins were killing them all. And they came to Marjack and pleaded that there needed to be defined homelands, if only to stop the wars, and so that every race would have a place where they belonged. So, Marjack, in his wisdom, I don't know if I agree with that, but so Marjack, in his wisdom, decided there would be a contest among the gods themselves. Who could throw the stones upon the world? And where their stones landed, they would throw stones upon the world, and where their stones landed, their creatures would hold dominion, or they would, they would be the big bosses of the land. Silly. The gods rejoiced, oh my goodness, yay! And the night before the contest, they had another celebration. They were so excited that the world was going to be made properly. But as all the other gods drank and sang and ate, Marjack stood outside and threw stones. This motherfucker. He just practiced and practiced until he could hit exactly where he was aiming at every time. He did not party. He just practiced throwing rocks and went to sleep. How boring. Well, when the morning came, the gods drew lots. I don't know, it's some sort of organization that gods do, to determine the order in which they would go. Then, the competition began. The Greek god, humans, threw their stone and struck the area that allowed their children to live where they pleased, whatever the frickin' heck that means. The dwarven god struck the mountains of stone, and the contest then continued. And it kept going like this, so on and so forth, until only the god of the elves and Marjack remained. Only 2 homelands remained, the lush forests and the barren deserts. Marjack had drawn before the elven god, so technically... Yo, Pickles, that's so fucking cool. Hang on, wait a second. Stop. Pause. We got you fighting the first Goblin Crossroads trial. Was that Kudzu? That should have been Kudzu. That was Kudzu. Oh, I want to hear about that. Holy fuck. Anyway, sorry. Language. No, this is not a PG show. What am I saying? I'm a goblin. Okay, where were we? Only 2 homelands remained, the lush forests and the barren deserts. Marjack had drawn before the elven god, and so made his way to cast his stone with confidence. The elven god knew... Oh, Nanga. Wait, Nanga... Oh, yeah. Headhunter. Yeah, sure. I'm trying to think... No, you're not mistaken at all. You're not mistaken. The crossroads are for both Headhunter for Horde and for Goblin for Kadeen, and the only Kadeen that was a Kadeen before Kazi, who's known as Kazi the Ancient for a frickin' reason, is Kudzu. And Kudzu is known as the Urkadin. Sorry for interrupting the story, but I want to talk about the goblins more than I want to talk about bugbear scheming. Anywho. Oh, sorry, Bodhi, I didn't mean to whoop you there. The elven god knew their creation had been made frail. The desert would surely break them. That's right, elves are bitches. Sorry. And so they no, I'm not. Concocted a scheme to ensure their pale creation's survival. Totally written by Bugbear. In the moment before Marjak loosed his stone, the god of the elves cast a glamour over his eyes, so that he saw the desert where the forest had once been, and the forest where the desert had once should be. And having practiced a lot, Marjak hit his mark expertly. As the stone landed, the glamour broke, and Marjak saw where he had thrown his stone. So great was the rage that the heavens themselves shook, and so great was his bond that the bugbear were forever touched by his fury. Marjak declared then that ever would there be a hatred for elves in the heart of the bugbear, and a lesson for his treachery. Marjak grabbed the elven god and carved his ears into knives, so that all might forever know the pointed hearts of elves. So not only is this why bugbear lives in deserts, why bugbear speak Farsi, quite frankly, and why elves has pointy ears, but it also is a great representation of how bugbear don't know their history. Well, sorry, they know their history. So we're going to actually dig into this. We're going to talk about one of my least favorite stories, which is this whole casting of the stone story. I just feel like it's the only story everybody talks about. But a long time ago, one of my roommates and friends was a little fish boy by the name of Zarzar. And Zarzar and Finn were the creators of the Deep One race. And if you don't know what Deep One are, they're really, really cool. And those two folk did a flippin' fantastic job building them. Zarzar wrote a lot of the lore and did a fantastic job. So, I would like to tell you the Deep One story of the casting of the stones. Full transparency, I am reading these off of the Geddon because, one, these are not my peoples, and two, I do not know them by heart, and three, I want you guys to know about the Geddon so you can go and read all of these wonderful stories that we will talk about during Goblin Storytime. Also, holy crud, you guys have been here for like an hour. I hope you have enjoyed it, because I sure have. Alright, so, new version of the casting of the stones. Oh, Brazen, you're going to be on, Hera's going to be on. I'm going to do Hot One style interviews of monsters. I got so many fun ideas. Okay, when Maleshikad, see, now we talk how it goes. Maleshikad is the big. When Maleshikad gave all other gods the ability to create creatures, they threw a party to celebrate. Woo! Party! Okay, Dagon was the most indifferent of the young gods, and didn't really care about being able to create life. He didn't really care about most things. He liked to just relax and do nothing. But when Maleshikad gave the others their abilities, he decided to join them in their revelry. As the youngest, Dagon was always picked on and bossed around, so he held some resentment for his brothers and sisters. At the party, they had a rock-throwing competition and made him throw first. The rocks would determine where on Earth they would start their creations. Dagon didn't really want to throw, so he haphazardly chucked a rock and it landed in the sea. The other gods laughed and derided him because he couldn't even hit the land. As the others threw, Dagon decided to trick them. The youngest god covered Marjak's eyes and made him hit the desert. With Grumish, which is the god of the bugbear. Oh, I'll do a shot of Belort. There's no hate there. That's good fun. Grumish, the god of the orcs, he slapped his elbow, causing him to hit the swamps. And the other gods were furious and drove Dagon away to the sea. That's why nobody likes Dagon. It's good. It's a good fact. Oh, yum. Okay, we got another one. Another new one is the Gnolls. I like Gnolls. Here they start speaking of the truth. The Goblin War was not over yet, though it was not until... the Goblin War was not over yet, though. It was not until nearly every inch of the earth was soaked in blood that the warring finally paused. The gods were now too attached to their races to see them destroyed and decided, just this once, they would try a diplomatic solution. Each god would get to throw a stone, and their race would live wherever it landed. No god or goddess claimed the gnolls during this time, and as a result, they became nomads. This also gave the gnolls their own strange power, having no reliance on gods, but their own will. And in time, the great gnolls horde split into the clans we know today. Their stories are still being written as we speak, but I want you guys to know that they're not being written by the gnolls, because those little dorks don't know how to write. And they also don't like writing. No, Malort's not the worst. It's just got the strong bittery taste. Yes, because the Alvada are like, I don't know, they're fire folk. Yeah, they're your gods. The moon is your cousin? Wow, Grayson, you got some crazy. Okay, so let's talk about the other references. Okay, so the dwarves have a similar story they call the Falling of the Stones. In the dwarven version, the dwarves have been placed in a magical slumber under the earth after being created to help the gods to finish the crafting of the world. Meh. When the gods cast stones to decide the location where their chosen race should be, the impact causes earthquakes and awaken the dwarves, allowing them to head back to the surface and rejoin the world. While the bugbear story references a dwarven god, it is unknown who this could be, as the dwarves have no specific gods of their own, instead venerating paragons. Well, maybe one of the paragons was a god. You know, who knows? The trolls are really doing a renaissance. It's pretty cool, actually. It's very likely that this mistake comes from a lack of understanding due to the long and bloody history between the dwarves and the monster races. Look, guys. Or just dwarves are silly. Now, hat trolls. Yes, I know, Gallia. That's why I'm reading the whole darn thing, Doc. Maybe I have to write my own. Frog people. Hat trolls and brazen. If I'm wrong, you're welcome to correct. Hat trolls simultaneously believe two different versions. Damoon existed as the tallest troll during the casting. He got upset at these far-off beings throwing rocks at him and spreading smaller, useless creatures on his planet. So he picked up a huge rock, much bigger than the ones they were throwing, and chucked it back at them. He threw it really far, but he missed. And the big rock got stuck in the sky between Damoon and the offending rock throwers. That would be invaders kept throwing their rocks, but they hit the big rock instead of their intended target, and they got upset. Damoon was pleased with this and sat down to watch. Smaller creatures ask trolls where the new star comes from, and to this day they always say Damoon. Yes, there are many. Damoon was presenting for the casting. This is version 2, but thought it was a competition to see who could throw the farthest, not the most accurate. He won this by casting a stone so far that it landed on Damoon. The other gods shook their head, but ultimately decided that trolls could live where they want. But at the least, one of them has to live where their stone landed. So Damoon took a big, deep breath and jumped onto the moon, and has been holding his breath there to this day. There is no accurate. That's the beauty of this. That's before I dig in. Okay, hang on. I'm gonna talk at you for a second, guys. There is no accuracy in monster lore. If I can tell you a story that is different than, let's say, Kazi's story, but my story is better, my story is correct. That doesn't mean Kazi's story doesn't exist. It doesn't mean Kazi's story is not spreading. But that's not... Look, if I tell a story, I come from the land of Hula, and I don't even like saying that. I come from Island in Pacific. Better. And then, well, it's not that there's no canon. It's that canon can evolve. Come from Island and Pacific, then go to Ash Coast, then go to Swampland. The stories told change. But if we look at history, the stories change. I don't know if you've ever seen the picture of the snail versus the rabbit army. It's the same damn thing, just flipped upside down. Stories change. So that's not to say anybody can just come up with whatever they want, although they can. But that doesn't mean people are going to listen to you. That doesn't mean people are going to choose your stories to be the stories that live on. I like writing things down because I like keeping history. But I don't love writing things down and forcing them down people's throats. I feel that it is better to allow freedom of expression. I was, for a long time, on the more gatekeepy side of monsterdom because I was gate-kept pretty hard when I started. No excuse, but it is reality. And in the process of deconstructing that, I've really understood that what makes Belegarth lore, let's take monsterdom out of it for a second, but Belegarth lore as a whole so interesting is that it's living. Like, this is actually a sociological study could be done on Belegarth and the stories we tell. I have some examples. One of the best example is the Knights of the Wildwood. I am a Knight of the Wildwood, right? Circumcision, right? And I'm sure many people in the chat, because I have this like wonderful chat full of vets, also have been Knights of the Wildwood. Guys, Knights of the Wildwood is a thing that has crossed the country. It's a story that has become real. Doesn't mean anything only to those that care. But it is alive. Nebuchadnezzar, the head of Neb. If you've ever licked its eyeballs, understand, you have licked eyeballs that have been licked by many, many, many other people throughout many, 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 many years. It's a living history. All hail Lord King Kingsford, Lord of Flame. May he walk forever. Right? And then we have the banner of Numenor. They're creating a legit legacy item. That is making a LARP a real thing. This is a real item. The banner of Numenor has like actual historic value for the subculture that is foam fighting. Every single person, has that. So I'm going to now open it up to Ask the Doc. I don't know if this is going to work because there's supposed to be a chat feature that pops up, and I do have a chat button, but hi. I can only talk to myself. So clearly, is that working? It should pop up. There, see, yes. So I can only talk to myself on this specific chat that you guys can see. But with it being an hour in, I want to thank you all, and I want to open it up for QA. So this is questions Ask the Doc. You can ask me questions. I will give you serious or non-serious answers. And I would love to get feedback from you all at some point if you enjoyed this, so I can make this even better. Yeah, no, I'm not worried about the chat. We'll get it all figured. But for now, this is fine, because I have this little device, and I can see the chat, and then I can answer questions. And I will even... Oh, fuck! Yes, Brazen. What a good question. Oh, I'm so excited that this got asked. Okay. So, lots of people will see me comment on the social medias and the Tome of Faces. Goblin. Like Goblyn, and then I do the little like asterisk. Guys, it's spelt Goblyn for a reason. We talk a lot. Okay, so reiterate, the question here is why Goblin with an I versus Goblin with a Y? And the reason it's Goblin with a Y is because when a goblin dies, and next episode we're going to talk Goblin. We're going to talk some Goblin history, Goblin gods, Goblin stuff, right? But until then, just know this. Goblins, pre-Balk being a dick, recycled. Post-Balk being a dick, every time a goblin dies, they go into the River of Styx and they float through, woo, and then Balk takes a big bite out of them. Depending on the size of the bite will dictate how they are when they are born. How pathetic, how weak, how shriveled. Think D&D level 1 goblin. A D&D level 1 goblin is a goblin with an eye. They are cowardly, they are scared, they are selfish, they're going to run away, they're not really strong, blah, 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 blah. Goblins with Ys are Reth, Neb, Scribbit, Sifu, Rashmish, Kazi, Salamander, me, right? We are... Oh, there's an ad break. I'm going to wait. It's good to see these ad breaks. But basically, when you, as a goblin, are born, depending on the size of the bite, will dictate how much innate true goblin power you have. And if you, as a goblin, have a lot of true power... Sorry, guys. I'll start all this over when the ads go away. But when you basically... Okay, you know what? Here's another one. I'm going to tell you guys a goblin chant. So if you're at work and you're really mad and you just need right? You can say this to yourself. Call it like a mantra. If you have a rosary or beads or you like picking your nose, whatever it is, you just do it, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to do this. Rage, God, war, goblin. Rage God, War 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 Goblin. I guarantee you'll feel better. Okay, no more ads. Ha ha ha. So, Goblin versus Goblin. Basically, if you're a D&D Goblin, so if you're small, you run away, you're scared of everything, blah, blah, blah. Me, when I very first started playing, I would consider Gobbo, right? That, me. I think I would be a Goblin with an I at that time. Me, now, I would like to consider myself a Goblin with a Y. Could this be a derogatory term? Sure. Like, if I didn't like someone, I was like, oh, you're a goblin with an eye. But I don't use it that way. I use it as a way to denote Belegarth goblins. Belegarth goblindom is a 30-year-old history. It is a real thing. It is as deep as any, I don't know, fucking story, man. Like, it's real. So having a differentiation between Goblin, Belegarth, and Goblin D&D, or Goblin Orc, right, like Lord of the Rings, is important to me. The other thing that I think is really, really cool and key about that is that you can get a better understanding of how Goblin as a lore functions. It's really, of course there's D&D goblins. Duh. Balk takes big bites out of some people. Well, I just want to thank you all so very much for those of you who are popping off because it is quite late. Thank you so much for coming to Storytime. I hope you enjoyed it. Brazen, did I answer your question about Goblin versus Goblin sufficiently? Thank you so much for dropping so many subscriptions. I very much appreciate that. All righty. I open the floor to a few more questions. I know we have gone long, so I appreciate you guys being on here. If there are any other questions, let me know. Well, for those of you that are... Oh, you can hit me with the question, Brazen. All the questions you want. Oh, yeah. There is one more section. Just so you know. Okay, so... Next week, we're going to talk goblins. What's next? Oh goodness. Oh, that's actually a really good question. Okay. What's next for me? Well, the Master Chronicler thing was a big deal for me. I'm very, very excited to dive into this more. Goblin Storytime is now a weekly show. So I'm going to have to make sure this is entertaining for you guys for at least an hour, maybe an hour and a half. Then, yeah, so on Thursday, we have Equinox. I think it's like the 31st Equinox, which makes sense because Equinox is where Goblindom came from, and that was in 1993. At lunchtime on Friday, I will be elevated. I would love all of your presence. There will also be some wonderful nightings at EQ and some memorial ceremonies. I think it will be a wonderful event. I do hope you can attend. On Thursday night of EQ, during the bench will be live. And you can come find me and Banjax and talk about your drip. We're going to do a little bit of drip check. I want to see your best outfits or your weirdest outfits or just the outfits you drove in. It don't matter to me. I just want you guys to be there. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Now, what's next for me? I want to win a freaking National Single Blue tournament. I'm going to be honest. Winter Wars or EQ or Get In or Fest or potentially Orc Wars just because of the skill there. That's my grind. So, you know, I'm here to grind it, and my goal is to do it while also being a total goblin and to show you guys that you can roleplay and be top stick at the same time. Okay, hang on. Oh yes, pickles. That is amazing. That is fantastic. I'm gonna give Geddon a shot, and but for me, I think the one that would mean, I don't know which one would mean the most, but that's the plan, right? The National Single Blue Tournament win, and then I've got a lot of apprentices that I love and want to see thrive and succeed. The Temple of the Burning Moon is growing. Bourbon and Techno both have trials at Equinox. As soon as Brazen finishes her paper, and Stellar too. We got some journeyman chroniclers that are going to come up, and I just wanted to grow the guild. And then for me personally, outside of those things, is that I really want to continue being an absolute ridiculous goblin. That's where I'm at. Let's go through some questions. What is my favorite bit of small lore or trait that makes you think, yeah, that's Goblin right there? That's a great question, Falcus. Hell yeah, Falcus. Thank you for being here. Miss you, bud. There's a lot of things that make Goblin. Yeah, you do have to do paperwork. We're chroniclers. Instant Goblin. If I see someone like do something like, I don't know, sneak up behind someone and then like poke them and then run away or something, that's instant. Yeah, Falcus is a great lizard. That is instant Goblin. If people care a whole awful lot about being ridiculous, that's good Goblin. Some people just are Goblin. So believe it or not, I don't actually consider myself much of a role player. Everything you've seen tonight is me. There is very little character to this. Some people characterize and role play really hard. And I think one of my favorite, the Goblin Post Office will be, yes. I have to help Antoinette. I have to help Gorg with Antoinette with Master Chronicler Project, Gorg and Kita both with Master Artificer projects. Lots of stuff. Other things that I think are really instant Goblin is just that's pretty instant Goblin. Oh shit! I think we're gonna get Gorg in Orc mode soon. So I'm gonna end with this, everybody. First of all, from the bottom of my green heart, thank you for stopping by and hanging out under the mushroom cap. I really, really hope you enjoyed this time. It means the world to me that you're here and that this is a thing on the Bench Network. Again, my deepest thanks to Brazen and Tanith and the whole bench, the whole crew of the bench, for welcoming me to the show and making this happen. Again, reminder, I will catch you all live at Equinox for the drip check. My Master Chronicler Elevation is at lunch on Friday at Equinox. And with that being said, from the bottom of this little green heart, I want you all to know that goblins do it better